Yes, what is good, everyone? How are you feeling? Are you ready to try and win some FIFA 19? Well, we had 3 winners last week, and we're going to have 3 more this week because I'm feeling quite generous. In another installment of Previews and Predictions, where I break down my 5 favorite games of the weekend, but sometimes I can't help myself, and I do a few more. And we're going to start with, at number 5, my biggest matchup in Germany, Hoffenheim versus RB Leipzig, and my biggest matchup in France, Nice versus PSG. And yes, they're tied, just deal with it. Which is your cue to add some dope music and put those shades over my face, Mike K. So I'll make a face right now, and then I'll hold it so you can add it in. Cool? All right, you ready? Or you won't add it in and make me look like an idiot. I feel like that's what you're going to do. Don't do it, please. Add some shades over my face, please. Anyway, we're going to start in the Bundesliga first because the last meeting between these two sides was a one-sided 7-goal thriller which saw Hoffenheim march into RB Leipzig's house and grab an impressive 5-2 win, which followed their first meeting last December where Hoffenheim also grabbed all 3 points in a 4-0 win. So if you're doing the math at home like I'm doing the math right here, Leipzig are going against a team that has pretty much owned them for a year now. So I want to see if Leipzig are actually going to put up a fight against Hoffenheim this season or just roll over and play dead like they have been. And then in France, PSG are on the cusp of equaling a record that was set in 1936 by Lille by winning their first 8 league games of the season. That is, if they can get past a Nice team that has won 3 out of their last 4 games and who finally seem to be finding a Nice or nice rhythm under new manager Patrick Vieira. However, with all of this said, I'm actually less interested in either of these teams and more interested in Neymar. Because I don't know if you caught this or not, but Brazil's golden boy did not get a single vote in the FIFA Player of the Year voting. I don't know why I have a 1. He got 0, which I'll be honest is a bit of a surprise. So we'll see how much that motivates him to take his game to another level because let's face it, we know his goal all along is to be recognized as the best player in the world. Also, crap, you need scores from me in these games. So I'll say Hoffenheim wins 3-2. And Neymar scores a hat-trick in PSG's 3-1 win. And now let's talk about my 4th best matchup of the weekend, the New York Red Bulls versus Atlanta United, because they're not only the 2 top teams in the Eastern Conference, they're also the 2 best teams in all of MLS. So the result of what I expect to be a very entertaining game could very well decide who wins the Supporters' Shield, which, if you don't know, is a trophy given to the team with the best record after all of the 34 league games have been played, or as they call this trophy everywhere else, the winner of the league. And a win for first place Atlanta would open up a 7-point lead at the top with 3 games to go, which would pretty much guarantee their first piece of silverware in only their 2nd season of existence, while a win for 2nd place Red Bulls would close the gap at the top to just 1 point and keep their hopes alive. However, I've got 2 interesting storylines here. One, the top scorer for the Red Bulls, Bradley Wright Phillips, is going to miss out due to a suspension, which is going to make the Red Bulls attack a little less dynamic than usual. And 2, it's being reported that Atlanta's manager Tata Martino, who also managed Barcelona and Argentina back in the day, is going to leave at the end of the season to take the Mexican national team job, which is no! Say it ain't so, no! I want him to take the U.S. job. He knows our infrastructure now. He knows our players. He's got a ton of experience, obviously, so don't let him go to Mexico, please. I can't. I won't. I just, no! I think there's a no mommy's way that should go in here. No mommy's way! Also, because Atlanta's players have to know that they've been spoiled by having a great manager these last 2 years, I really feel like they're going to try to win every single thing that they can, starting with this game, which they will, 2-1. And now let's go to the number 3 matchup on my list, and it's a double hit from England for me mates across the pond, West Ham versus Manchester United, and Chelsea versus Liverpool. And first up, it's a team that beat Everton recently at Goodison Park, and then they drew with Chelsea, and they just scored 8 goals in a game midweek in the Carabao Cup, so they are flying, versus a team whose manager just stripped one of his players of his vice captaincy after the player criticized the manager's tactics publicly, which, I'll be honest, seems pretty hypocritical since this manager publicly criticizes his boss, Ed Woodward, all of the time about not spending enough money in the transfer window and blah, blah, blah. However, and if possible, putting the drama aside for a moment, let's talk about the cold hard facts, and that is United do not have the luxury of dropping any more points this season since they're already 8 points behind league leaders Liverpool and 6 behind Man City and Chelsea. And given that City only dropped 14 points all of last season on their way to making Premier League history, it just feels like there's little margin for error for the Red Devils. But since United seem to enjoy wasting their energy on petty bullshit, I think they're going to drop more points in this match too, so I'll say 1-1. And then in a rematch of their midweek contest, which Chelsea won at Anfield after scoring 2 goals in the last 15 minutes to come from behind to beat Liverpool 2-1, which included Eden Hazard's game winner where he made someone in the build-up in the middle of the field, which was awesome. And then he kept his run going out wide to support the play, as he should, before he picked it up again and then danced through 4 or 5 defenders and then buried it into the side netting from a tough angle, which is easily one of the best goals of the season, though I feel like I've been saying that a lot lately. But this really was, so we'll see if it ends up being a finalist for the Puskás Award next season. Also, this goal just highlights how well Hazard is playing right now, which makes him, in my humble opinion, the best player in the Premier League at the moment, which makes me wonder how much credit new Chelsea manager Maurizio Sarri should get for this resurgence in Hazard's game, because Sarri is clearly pushing all of the right buttons, something that I never felt like Hazard's 2 previous managers, Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte respectively, did very well. Anyway, do you remember when I talked recently about Liverpool needing to get at least 4 wins out of this tough 7-game stretch that they're in the middle of? Well, they've won 3 out of the 4 so far, and I feel like they were unlucky not to get more out of this loss to Chelsea, so immediate revenge will definitely be on their minds as the Reds look to keep their 100% league record intact. But I don't know. Sarri is a terrific manager. Hazard is next level at the moment, and they have the best midfield duo in quite possibly all of Europe, which means quite possibly all of the world, in Jorginho and N'Golo Kanté. So I think this one is going to come down to Chelsea's back line versus Liverpool's front 3. If Mo Salah can play like last season's Mo Salah, then I think Liverpool wins. But if he doesn't, kind of like how he's been playing this season, I like Chelsea to do the business again, 2-1. And coming in at number 2, it's another double hit, but this time from Italy, where Roma hosts their bitter rivals Lazio, and Juventus take on the team that actually thinks they have a chance at winning the Scudetto, and Juve knows that they really don't, Napoli. But let's start with the Derby della Capitale first, because even though Roma are struggling by their standards this season, and maybe that's because they lost Alisson, Strootman, and Nainggolan, who were very important players in the spine of their team and as leaders, which then, of course, led to Roma signing a whole bunch of new faces to replace them, they just haven't gelled yet. Not everybody is on the same page. They haven't found that sweet spot, as it were. You know, where the starting 11 is solidified and the tactics are consistent, which gives the players something to build off of. But I don't know, maybe they have found what they're looking for after their impressive 4-0 win midweek over Frosinone, but let's be honest, Frosinone sucks! So I think it's still pretty hard to say what to make of this Roma team. As for Lazio, after starting the season with 2 losses, though in fairness, those 2 losses were to Napoli and Juventus, they look a lot more stable now, as evidenced by their 4 straight wins in the league, which is currently good enough for 3rd place, just behind the 2 clubs that they lost to. So you know what? Initially, I had Roma pegged to win this game because they're technically hosting it, even though both teams share a stadium. But if we're looking long and hard at which team is better than the other at the moment, I think it's Lazio, and I think they're going to pull out a tight one, 1-0. And now it's Juve versus Napoli time, which is the top of the table leaders versus the club that is clipping Juve's heels, also known as Ronaldo's first big Serie A game of the season, but we all know how much he loves to step up in the biggest of games, so I expect him to have a major influence on the end result. But putting all of this aside for the moment, let's enjoy some real talk. If Napoli loses this game, and yes, I'm being overly dramatic here for a reason, they will be a full 6 points behind Juve, which means I firmly believe that Serie A will be over. It will be Juve's, because I'll be surprised if they drop 6 points all season. Okay, they'll probably drop a few more than that. Plus, I'm sure Juve would love nothing more than to create a sizable gap at the top right now so they can start to devote more of their time and energy to winning the Champions League, which means I think Napoli, who, even though they seem to be more relaxed and fluid, which is leading to them playing better in new manager Carlo Ancelotti's system, I just don't think they have enough to overcome Juve in this one, so I'm going to say 3-2 to the old lady. And finally at number 1, it's the Madrid derby between Atletico and Real, and I find this game to be super interesting, not only because of all the superstars on the field for both teams, but because I truly have no idea who's going to win. Atleti put a 4-2 beatdown on Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup to start the season, but as I'm sure Madrid fans would say, that was only a meaningless preseason trophy. Of course you would say that if you didn't win it, but if you won it, then you definitely would add it to your trophy haul at the end of the season. You're like, we won the quadruple! Remember the UEFA Super Cup! Do you like my voice for Madridistas? I think it's pretty good. Anyway, after that game, Atleti started the season very slow, while Madrid was tearing it up with Gareth Bale scoring every game. But coming into this derby, Atleti have won 3 straight and seem to be finding their form at the right time, while Madrid just got embarrassed and exposed by Sevilla 3-0 midweek, and they have Isco out, which puts a dent in their creativity in the attacking third, so again, I don't know. I think we can make a good argument for why both teams could win, which means they're probably going to draw I'll say 1-1. So all right, that is it. That is all I got. So predict the right score for the Madrid derby. Yes, we're going with that game, which is being played at the Bernabeu, in case that has any influence on your score prediction in any way. And if you get it right, you'll be entered to win one of these 3 FIFA 19s that I'm pretending to hold up. So good luck. Also, a huge congratulations to the Houston Dynamo for winning their first ever US Open Cup trophy last night in their big 3-0 win in the final over the Philadelphia Union. That is what's up, so congrats again. And okay, I'm done talking, so have a good or bad weekend, everyone. Later.